attendees, so we will go through some housekeeping items. Definitely, if you are attending virtually, please feel free to interact. Otherwise, we'd ask that you mute yourself so we don't have background noise. Also, if you want to just throw your hand up, that kind of helps us to know that you'd like to ask a question or ask something. Yeah. But also, if you are attending virtually, if you just want to introduce yourself so we know who's speaking, that's very helpful. And otherwise, we will start with some introductions. I'm Joyce Walstead with Fabricators Unlimited. I also serve on the board of directors and I'm the secretary of the executive committee. Joe?
Joe Striegel, Discovery Construction, chair of the Modern Council.
Rob Green with Bonner County Food Incorporated, chair of the education committee.
Sarah Dominic, Stone Holding. Did you say for this year what we're going to be? Okay, chair of the event committee.
Jenny Klein, Balding Stone, I am chair of the Greater Home Committee.
Tracy Curran, Legacy Plumbing, vice chair of the ambassador committee.
Tim Gower, Bell Bank, chair of the ambassadors committee.
Jory Belbank, vice chair.
Ethan Lemke on with Lemke Exteriors and the vice chair of Herdina Academy.
Awesome.
I'm Elizabeth Kozel with the Home Builders Association and the Education and Public Affairs Coordinator.
I'm Janet Copley with the Home Builders Association and I'm the vice coordinator.
I'm Krista with the Home Builders Association, Executive Vice President.
And I'm Bryce Johnson, CEO for the HBA. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Awesome. And then Chad, if you'd like to go?
Yeah, I'm Chad with Dabbert Custom Homes. I'm president of the Herdina Work Camp.
Hey Chad, did you know your camera's off?
Oh,
Is that on purpose? It's okay, I
No.
just thought.
oh,
You're a
sorry.
mystery.
Is that better?
No,
Nothing?
not.
I wonder to see your beautiful face.
It might be your setting on your camera, but we can hear you, so that's awesome.
Okay, that's good.
Conrad? Conrad, if you want to go next.
No, Conrad was
Just dropped out of there.
Yeah, he was.
How about Susie?
I'm Susie Munier from Sanford Health, and I'm going to be the chair of the Career Expo.
Great.
Conrad's back. Got to be let in.
Conrad, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hi. Accidentally closed the browser. I'm Conrad Klinkhammer, chair of the Public Issues Committee, and from Berkshire Hathaway. I'm a realtor.
Great. Do you want to go?
Sure. Ray Blaha with Western Products, chair of the Home and Garden Show.
Yep.
Spencer?
I think he's helping somebody.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Next,
he
we're
was
going to have us to talk a little bit about the HBA and the HVAC.
Yeah, we just like to give a little bit of a high overview of the organizations for you all. I want to echo Joyce and thank you all for volunteering and being a chair, vice chair. It's a hugely important job and you guys are really our leaders along with our board of directors. So thank you for taking the time and for taking part in the orientation. Some of you have probably done it before. Jenny, I think you're repeat. So we appreciate that. But the first page or page 2 in your packet, it just kind of goes over what is the HBA at a very high level. Interestingly, we are the largest local association affiliated with the NAHB in both North Dakota and Minnesota. So that's kind of a fun fact about us that a lot of people probably don't realize. You probably know this, but we support and advocate for a strong building industry, and we support our members, who are you, throughout Cass and Clay counties. We're also recognized at the national level for our retention rate, programming and services to our members. We do have 3 organizations out of this office. So there's the Home Builders Association. President is David Reed this year, and our vision and mission are listed there. Home Builders Care of FM Foundation is our charity. That's also run out of this office. It's Nancy Kelly will be our president for 2023. And we listed their purpose statement there. And then the Home Builders Health Plan and Trust is the 3rd organization we run out of this office. And G. Thurston is the chair for 23. For membership, we just listed the steps there to become a member of the HBA. It's just really good for all of our chairs to know how easy it is and give direction. If you're talking to somebody about becoming a member, our application is online at hbafm.com, and Spencer, who is our business development coordinator, can assist where needed with that. The ambassadors reviews all applications, so that's Tim and JT's committee, and recommends approval or denial to the board of directors, and then they go to the board for review for approval or denial, and then they will complete a new member orientation with Spencer once they're approved. How many members we have are listed there. There are 3 types of membership. There's associate, builder, and affiliate. And affiliates are employees of our associate and builder members. So, oops, I have the numbers transposed on the associates and builders. So it's like, so those are flip flops.
Be a lot of builders.
Yeah.
Can we change the definition of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who can attend our events and committee meetings, HBA functions, anybody that's employed by a member company. And then on page 3, these are just a real high look at what our 2023 priorities will most likely encompass. They haven't been presented to and finalized by the board of directors. That'll happen this month. But under advocacy and workforce, we'll be monitoring and involved along with our state associations and the legislative sessions, reestablishing and growing our code subcommittee, because that is always a challenge, it seems, with our local jurisdictions, addressing what they're changing and doing, and then continuing to support our workforce academies and centers and playing a role there. Growing our relationships with elected officials and other administrators in the metro. And then membership goals are listed. The ambassadors' goals are 91% retention rate and 72 new members for recruitment. Administrative and business strategy, we are always looking at implementing non-use revenue sources for future income streams. And we want to grow the Very Invested Partner Program, which Bellbank was one in 22, and Radiant Homes and Lemke Home Improvements were our VIPs, which is a high-level sponsorship of the association. We are revitalizing the Home and Garden Show and rebranding the Parade of Homes, and just exploring other ways to maximize marketing for our members. And then we are also looking at some things with Home Builders Care Foundation and their operations challenges.
You want to add anything to that, Grace?
Questions on that stuff? The next 4 pages are that, and I should mention, hopefully everybody online got this by email last night, so you can see it. I sent it out to everyone. Did you guys get the packet? Yeah, okay. So pages 4, 5, 6, and 7 are information that Spencer uses for new members. It briefly lists our benefits, a little bit about us. The dates are some important events you should note, and events like member meetings and our public events, our education classes are listed there. And then, all the committees and their descriptions are included. That's more so for your reference and use. Page 8 is a flow chart of a high level organizational view. I already touched on the 3 different organizations that run out of this building, but it gives you a visual of how that kind of works with the different committees. The boards, each of them has a board, the executive committees, and then how it transfers down to Bryce as CEO. She also is foundation administrator and plan administrator for the health plan, and then the staff is under that. And then the next page, I think it got really tiny for you guys, but that's kind of our organizational chart of the staff and how we function. Our duties are listed there. So if you ever need a reference at a glance of kind of what we cover, that's a good resource. The development and workforce coordinator position is open and it's listed that way. That will probably remain open for some time until we can address it. But we've divided those duties up amongst the staff we have. Any questions on those things?
83. Yeah. Kind of depending on the legal side of it.
Yeah.
There were 3 years there between 83 and 86 that were a little strange, but it's quite old.
Yeah.
And I would just throw out one thing. Krista did such a fabulous job with putting all this together and providing so much background. And I would just say too, not just in terms of, today is so important and we're hoping that you walk away with how to run an efficient meeting and get the most out of your committee meetings and timeliness and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to mention too, that you are the leaders of the committee. And so the mission of, outside of Susie, who's attending as a leader for the Health Tech Trades Career Expo, which we are a big part of that management process to run that event for them. But you are the cheerleader of the committee and the enthusiast, and to help drive the mission of what we are trying to do, which, same with the expo, is producing skilled labor, helping the industry grow. We're building more homes, we're putting out more loans for mortgages, and we're doing contractor loans, we're selling more windows, we're employing electricians and so on. But our goal is to build the industry. That's what the HBA is all about. We're the voice of the industry, so we're lobbying on their behalf, but time and time again, we go to the committees to be that cheerleader. And so if we are working on events to network, to help associates get more business, we need the committees to be engaged, and it really starts at the top with that committee chair. And so I hope that you can walk away with feeling confident in how to lead those committees and to be that cheerleader for your industry to help us keep moving the mission forward. So we really appreciate your time today, and just the fact that you're committing to be a leader for this next year, and that you're going to be also setting kind of the pathway for the vice chair and the committee members who might be willing to be the step up to that next vice chair and so on, and to be talking to your committees about that too, about building up your committee, building that leadership role, eventually maybe looking at the HBA board or the foundation board, or being on the health plan board, or depending on who you are and what your employer is and your business is. So, but anyway, we can't thank you enough for being here this morning. Really appreciate that.
See Spencer's on too now. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm sorry about that. Got somebody walking in and a call right after and got sidetracked here. Spencer Carlson with the Home Builder Association. I'd be in there with you, but looking to keep everybody safe too, because my wife actually has COVID. So keeping my distance kind of from everybody. I still don't have it, so.
Still don't have.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, what Bryce said is awesome. We always have awesome things. Page 10, it just lists out our local committee leadership for you. So, and before, hope we remember before we leave, I do want to get a photo for everyone, so. Just know that. And then, page 11 is leadership commitment. This is something that your committee should be doing. And this is a template we use as staff, where you insert your committee description at the top. And the chairs and vice chairs should have this signed each year. You can insert specific committee responsibilities because we all do different things, of course, after number 9. But I just thought that would be a good thing to include. And it helps everyone kind of frame in their mind what is expected of them throughout the year and get to it. I think that's it for me, Joyce.
Great, let's jump right into it. So we have a sample of an agenda on page 12, and this is for the events committee. And it lays out, like I said, what we're gonna talk about, our action items. Basically, you know, everything that we're gonna talk about in the meeting. And then if you look on page 13, those are notes that the chair, vice chair, and the board liaison will receive. And I'm just gonna start off by saying, the staff member is not supposed to be leading the meeting. You are, right? And so this helps you to have a little background on that. And you'll receive that like a day or two before the meeting, so you can review it and you can be prepared. The vice chair also receives it because in the event that something comes up at the last minute and the chair is unable to attend, then the vice chair will leave the meeting. And you're not just walking into a cold, you know, you should be prepared by having these. You'll see the notes are in red and they explain things a little bit more thoroughly. So going back to the agenda, the chair will call the meeting to order. And we do hope that get to order, if it's supposed to start at 9:30, start at 9:30. If you know somebody is walking in the door or whatever, you can wait for them to sit down. But we want to just be respectful of everyone's time and start the meeting on time. So you would call the meeting to order, and generally we have introductions. And please remember to include the virtual people if there are any. And then the first thing that you would do is address the consent agenda. And so you would have everyone look over the minutes from the previous meeting, and you would call for a motion to approve. Okay, and then you get a second, and then you would obviously call for a vote. And assuming that passes, you would move on. Then you'll have your upcoming meeting and events. And don't just say, please read through those. Like, actually list them, and maybe you want to throw out like, oh, please attend, or be sure you don't miss this, or are you registered? Have you, is everyone in your company registered? This gives you a great opportunity to talk about those events. So everybody, not just the events committee, every meeting will have the events that are coming up. Then you move on to if there's any addendums to the agenda, they'd be listed there. And then you have your action items. So the one thing with the action items, what are those? Those are the items that you need to have a vote on. Anything you decide with those, you need to have a vote and discussion. Okay. So for the events committee, we're talking about the budget, right? That has to be, somebody has to move to approve it, needs a second, and it needs to be voted on. When you go down to reports and discussion items, those don't need to have a vote. That's just information, basically, things we'll be discussing. And then when it comes to the adjournment, you need to have a vote for the adjournment, and there's usually no discussion. Well, something I guess, I missed the chair comments. Oh, sorry. Under the reports and discussion items, there's the chair comments. And I'm sure you're familiar with those. That's a listing of all the committees and the chair comments is a list of all the committees and what's going on with each committee. So please don't say you can read this on your own. I know it's a little tedious to read every single one, but you can paraphrase it. But it's very important that we all know what each other is doing. That's why they're in there. Okay, the more communication, the better. You don't have to read them word for word, you know, but please do at least paraphrase them and bring them to the attention of your committee. As Bryce and Krista were saying, sometimes it seems like the chairs pop in at the last minute, they're unprepared, they rush through the agenda, and the meeting's over. That's really not the point. You know, if we're gonna have a meeting, we're gonna have people give it their time, we need to put some effort into it, okay? So let's take the ambassador committee. We'll just take that because I'm familiar with it. And so on the ambassador committee, we try to get new members. We encourage people to join, right? And so we have to, as leadership, set an example, be out encouraging people to join the HBA, you know, or we would go with Spencer to meet with a client or a potential member. And it's 1 year of your life, give it all you got, right? That's what we want to do. But we've got to set a very good example with that. And I just can't stress how important it is that, you know, you take it seriously and you just really help to grow up the organization. And you do that from the committee level on up.
Could I add something?
Yes.
On intro,
I guess I did.
yeah. On introductions, one thing that I'd like to mention is a lot of times I think our committees, we feel like we know each other, we don't need introductions.
Yeah.
But I found it's very pertinent to still do them. And the education committee, they started doing an icebreaker every time, just a fun little question and to go around if we don't have a new person or a guest. And it's kind of fun. I mean, we really got to know each other and it kind of slows things down and gets everyone talking. So I would encourage you to still do introductions each time, even if you think everyone knows each other, because it's add in something like an icebreaker. And then I should have said this when I was talking about the local leadership on page 10. So there is a board liaison on most of the committees that Builders Association committees. So that person is also on the HBA board and they are reporting back and forth. They report to the board what the committee is working on and they should be bringing some of what the board is talking about to the committee. It doesn't have to be long, just a small report. And something else we started doing is inviting a committee chair each month to the HBA board meeting as a special guest. So you will be invited to come and at the top of the board meeting, talk about what's going on in your committee, because it helps the board meet you all and vice versa.
And staff member helps you put some thoughts together. So it isn't like you just come to the board. You know.
Madam Chair, can I interject once
Yes.
too? Sorry, because I don't want you to lose your spot either. Just a couple of things that from what Joyce and Krista have been pointing out too. So important, those icebreakers are really, we should really incorporate that into every committee and we haven't quite yet, but we need to because it is about having fun. It's about networking. It's about building your business by networking and doing things with other businesses. And so all of that helps as you get to know and feel comfortable with your fellow committee members. Joyce had pointed out, or before I get to that, mentioning the board liaisons. Very important. Those are very important committee members to each of your committees, because if we do have a contentious issue come up with a committee that moves to the board with a recommendation to move forward or to decline moving forward, especially if it's in disagreement with the committee recommendation, it's really important for that board liaison to be doing their job, to be bringing the information to the HBA board, speaking on behalf of that committee, the pros and the cons, what's in the work that the committee did. So the board understands the weight of what that recommendation means to the committee. And so that's something we incorporated a few years back, because the committee work is the bread and butter of everything that we do. That's how we understand what our members want as an association. So those 600-700 members that we're working with, the committees are telling us what the general population of our membership want and desire. And so that board liaison needs to be doing their job. They need to be attending those committee meetings too. Then Joyce had pointed out right at the top that as a committee chair, vice chair, your role is so important that you are running the meeting and not letting staff run the meeting. I just wanted to point out that the purpose of that is to elevate you as a leader, that you are in charge of that meeting. We are always there in the background to support, to provide and prepare for the meeting. I want you to know that we're there in support of you, and that if you have a question, if you feel unprepared, to let us know. But Joyce's point is, just to take it to that next level, is that we're trying to elevate you as a committee leader, that you're in charge, and that your vice chair is there to step up if you're not able to come. But it's to elevate your business and to elevate you professionally. And hopefully, like today, again, that you're walking away with pointers for every different organization that you work in, that you can make changes and that professionally you grow by being a leader within these committees. So I just wanted to point that out, but we are always here. Our job is to make you look good as a leader and to help you grow within your own personal and professional life as well. That's what our goal is. And lastly, again, all seriousness that we have with the committees, we still want to make sure members enjoy coming to the HBA, coming to the committee meetings, and that there's joy and fun within that. And when you walk away today, if there's anything else we can do to improve this session or improve committee work or how you walk away from the committees, tell us. I mean, that if you don't tell us, if we're not providing the information we need at each individual committee meeting for you to make good decisions and your committee to make good decisions, tell us. It's great to talk amongst members, but if you don't tell the staff, we can't make the change, and we can do it quickly, or we can talk to people to do it quickly. So really important to communicate back to us. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great.
What's the expectation of the timing of the agenda and the notes that get to the chair?
Well, okay.
I say if you want, to be
Yeah.
prepared.
Yes,
The morning
yes.
of isn't gonna be.
No, that's not helpful to the committee chair. Right now, well, and it kind of varies, I think, between committees. So I think you should talk to the staff member that's the liaison to your committee, because it really depends on what committee you are and who's in charge, and timing to a Parade of Homes, for example, is a lot different than Ambassadors, who meets monthly. Parade of Homes is the way they meet and the decisions that they're making is a little different. You know, we like to try to have stuff out a day or two ahead of time to the committee. For the board, it's changed a lot because their packets are so big and they don't read them up front. So there's certain information that we're sending out right away and others that we don't. One thing I would note is we are a staff of 7 full-time employees right now. We're going to be dealing with that through the end of the year for sure. We're hoping to hire interns. And we're going to have changes. We're going to have, personnel gone for a couple of months, fairly soon. Yeah. So that affects the whole team. And so timing so we would ask for your understanding of that as things change. Home and Garden Show, we have Giving Hearts Day, all those things affect the flow of what the staff can provide in a timely manner. However, on the flip side, we want to make sure we have very effective committee meetings and we're getting you the information. So I would definitely though have an arrangement with each individual staff. Talk to them about, I'm not comfortable getting it the morning of, and we shouldn't be doing that. But is the committee getting it the day before or 2 days before? So as a chair, would you like to get it that Friday? We don't know if we would have information, just in Ambassador's case, we're working around the clock, right, on recruitment. But maybe a template could be provided, so, okay. But yeah, great
Just
question.
The general comments, like it used to be, we would get them like a couple days before. Obviously that works out better.
Is that the chair notes you're talking about? Or, yeah, which we never used to do. I mean, that came about during the pandemic where, and again, to elevate the chair, the leader, by giving them background and emotions versus just going in cold turkey and not being prepared. So yes, those kinds of things have really helped. And if we can get those out as quickly as possible for your review and comfort level.
I would definitely reach out to Spencer and you know, talk about it, so you guys.
That's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Not the
great
expectation,
question.
you know, that you're
Yeah.
getting an email, not flying in the 10:30.
Yeah.
Not a good situation.
Not me.
Agreed.
Sorry to interrupt. Krista, do you want to maybe touch on like what we have all been talking about and like that email that's been sent out?
Sure,
Which getting hurt.
no, it's, help me remember, so we will be sending, each staff liaison will send your committee an email. Checking in on to all committee members, like, are you still wanting to be on the committee? If you haven't heard from you for a while, you know, let us know. Kind of a process in registering for the meeting, because we as staff, our process is to send a Outlook invitation to our committee members for however many meetings we have lined out, if we have a whole year set up, to reserve the time on your calendar, in your Outlook calendar.
Do you guys all understand that? You get one, you get these just to put it on your calendar.
Just to get them.
It's in your calendar. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
there, so it's,
Just
the only
reserve
thing I
space
would
on
say
your
with that is
calendar.
make sure your reminder is not 15 minutes. It's like, that's the default right now.
Yeah.
I'd put the reminder a day or two.
Oh.
Like just,
Yeah.
it's on your, you know, especially if it's a Monday or whatever, where it's like getting a reminder on something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that one where all of a sudden, 15 minutes, if you do honestly forget,
Yeah.
probably gonna get here if that's when it pops up.
Yeah.
It's an hour or two, oh, yeah.
And I would throw out too, for Susie's benefit for the expo, that we use Gross Thumb there too, so that will be, for this year, you'll be getting those same space savers at some point, right?
But I haven't talked about, so the first step is you get the Outlook appointment to reserve the time on your calendar, but then when the meeting gets closer, staff will send you an invitation through Growth Zone, which is our association management software. And we want you to register or decline that, because that tells us who's coming, who can't come, who's coming virtually, who's coming in person, and it's hugely helpful.
Yeah.
How many meeting material packets do we need to make? You know. that
Yeah.
kind of-
I mean,
Or do we reschedule? Because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
just
'cause no
not
one's
enough
coming.
people.
For the back.
just for an example, and not to throw like their modelers council under the bus. But like one day I had like 3 people registered and 25 people showed up. Do you think I had enough packets printed? No. So then I was scrambling and then I kind of looked like I'm unprepared, which doesn't make me feel great, you know? So just like
So maybe throw that out in your meetings, you know, you just remind people that they do need to accept the invitation. And either decline or accept.
and in that email that we'll send out, there's actually a video of Elizabeth, like going through what your email will look like, how to register. So it's, I mean, just so you know how to do it. And since it's coming from all of us, we're all hopefully on the same page and, you know, we've talked about getting our meeting notes out sooner.
And if you know, like, I look at some of these committee members and I don't even know who they are. So I don't take them to a meeting in a while. But if you know people, if you see that on doors, just reach out to them too and, you know, invite them to attend again or, you know.
Are there a certain amount of meetings that they're supposed to attend being on?
Yeah, our leadership commitment says 2/3.
That's why.
We don't necessarily want to kick anybody off, but, you know, just see what's going on there. So that was great discussion and please feel free to add anything you want in here. If we can move to the handout, the parliamentary speaker beat sheet. And we don't have to go through all of this, but we'll just hit some of the high points. The first part is a main motion, and it's important to remember as a chair, you cannot make. That needs to come from the floor. And the appropriate way to say that is I move, although half the world says I make a motion to. Then a motion needs to have a second. If no one seconds, then it dies for lack of. Okay. And once you have a second, you call for discussion. And you want to encourage discussion, and you also need to rein it in and make sure that it's, you know, applying to the motion, what have you. And then you would call for a vote. Okay. You can also say you have a main motion on the floor and it's been seconded, but there's a lot of discussion. And through that discussion, you think, you know, this motion is great, but maybe it should have said this. Have it amended. Okay? And that will also need a second, and you will also need to have a majority approve that through a vote. Other than that, if you have a motion on the floor and it's seconded and there's a lot of great discussion and you decide, or the committee decides, we really aren't in a place to really vote on this. We need more information. You can also, that can be tabled, but that does have to have a second. And that also would need to have a majority vote. Say you have a motion on the floor, it has a second, and you have discussion. And through the discussion, you realize that maybe the motion wasn't so great. The person that made it is able to withdraw their motion. And it's not debatable. And also you need a motion to adjourn. That does need to have a second, and you do have to have a vote on that, and there's no debate on that.
I have a question, maybe I missed it, on the, you have a motion on the floor and it needs to be amended. Does someone else make a motion to amend it, or does the person, does that matter?
I don't think it does. I think somebody else can move to amend it. It doesn't have to be the person. Usually it is the person that made it will say, well, I move to amend my motion. They could say, I move to amend the motion. Is there any questions on that?
This is for anytime there's a motion.
For anything. You always, so like Tim and JT on the ambassadors, when we go through each member and we need a motion to approve that number, we also have to have discussion. You call for discussion. We vote on every single one. I mean, I guess. The overlay was driving me insane, but. I mean, I guess I assume you guys are familiar with some parliamentary procedure. Is that, are we good on tackle that? Also, please feel free to encourage people. You know, some people are shyer, but encourage them to participate in the discussion. You know, sometimes you know somebody might have some insight or something, so feel free to encourage them to add to the discussion. Also, if you get the agenda and you think that there's nothing else you want to talk about, you know, like how we discussed, and again, I'll use the ambassadors committee, we discussed, having, kind of a goal for each member of the committee to bring on 2 members, you know, or something like that. You would just feel free to let Spencer know you want to add that to the agenda to talk about. Is there any other questions? I'm looking at Jill.
Yeah, no.
And again, these short comments are so helpful. You know, it just gives you so much more insight into that. And if you have questions on that, please feel free to, you know, to like reach out to the staff member or the board as well. Otherwise,
I think so. I'll just mention that resources, you got, I printed out the parliamentary procedure cheat sheet for today, but the effective meetings booklet was attached to the email you all got, and the HPA code of ethics and bylaws are attached. So it's really fun reading, but it's good to at least review our bylaws, and the code of ethics is especially interesting, what our members ascribe to.
you also, we just see the handout, the running an effective meeting.
Yeah.
Too. I did want to talk about the icebreaker, you know, like, feel that awkward, you know, but it doesn't have to be an in-depth, you know, whatever. It can be, what's your hometown? You know, what's your favorite thing to do in the summer? You know, just to break the ice a little bit, you know, or what's the favorite part of your job? You know, or something like that. It should just be some very light, quick type of thing. You know, you don't have to say your whole family history or, you know, anything like that. But it is a nice way to just get to know one another.
I'm on the education committee, and that's, you know, my whole time with the HBA, that's something that it's always been incorporated, so that's all I know. But it was so helpful in recall people's names, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, I think people once a month, you know, sometimes not once a month. You know, there's, some people don't make it to every meeting,
Yeah.
so just to have that, you know, around, just, you know, that repetitive, you know. Like my memory doesn't work the way it used to on some days, you know, it's like, it's just helpful for, exactly, it's just helpful to, and I can tell that it'll settle everyone.
Mhm.
You know, so then you get more discussion. You
Yeah.
don't get the same 3 people bouncing back and forth that
Very good.
happens in meetings every day. So I seem to take some of that out of it.
Nice to hear who they work with too, because sometimes I forget, like I don't get a name, and what they do.
You get that
Yeah.
mnemonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I found is that then when you do get a new person on your committee, you're just in that routine. And it doesn't get missed, because that's so awkward when you get a guest or a new person and you don't do introductions, and they have no idea what it is, so. There's a lot of good positive ways or reasons to do it.
And you find ways to connect with others on different levels too.
I do want to grab a photo. And I think it will work if you guys stand by the screen, so that I can see, I don't know if Ray can, put your camera on. If you can't, that's okay, but I think it'll be kind of fun, our incoming class.
Ray, do you want to see your mug?
He's on, he might be in a call. Oh,
Oh,
so yeah, everyone can just gather around the screen and
I don't know.
I can't get it, you're gonna have to
I
stay.
just know that I'm.
Yeah.
Joey, yeah, you're tall enough. Yeah.
Is it because I'm short?
Yeah. No. But he's Joey, but yeah, you two switch.
Is it short?
You want me to go like the rest of the year? Oh, yeah, there we go.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
That's
awesome.
Just gonna do a wall sit here,
Yeah.
so. We got lots.
I like to raise on now.
Okay, everyone. 1, 2, 3, smile. Keep smiling. Awesome.
Super cool. Great
Thank
group of
you.
leaders, definitely.
If you want to have some.
Yep.
So
With that being said, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
I'll motion.
Second.
What did you say? Sarah?
Move, I'll move. Move to.
I move to, there you go. Is there a second?
second then.
All those in favor?
Aye.